Imagine walking into um, just the ultimate cosmic library. Like, it contains every secret of the universe.
Right. Every fact, every underlying mechanism of reality.
Yeah, exactly. But imagine that to actually understand how the universe works, you don't just, pull books off the shelf
Oh,
randomly.
well, definitely not.
Instead, the real secret to being perfectly informed requires knowing exactly which books you are strictly forbidden to open
Wow. Yeah.
and which ones you are enthusiastically commanded to study.
I mean, it completely flips our modern approach to learning, right? We
Totally.
live in this era where we just assume more data always equals more truth.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're listening to this, you've probably found yourself 3 hours deep into some late night Wikipedia rabbit hole trying to understand the origins of the universe.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. And, the exhaustion of that information overload. We feel this immense pressure to consume every single piece of information.
Because we assume that if we just read enough, we'll eventually understand the absolute core of existence.
Exactly. But today, we're exploring this really profound paradox. What if the secret to understanding reality isn't knowing everything, but knowing exactly where the universe has placed a giant, unyielding do not enter sign?
I love that framing. So, for this deep dive, we are looking at an excerpt from a pretty remarkable text called Qlach Pitchei Chochma.
Right.
Specifically, we're focusing on chapter 15, and this is the translation by Abraham Greenbaum, which we sourced from the Safari Library.
Yep.
Great source. So, our mission today is to use this text to really map out the ultimate boundaries of human inquiry.
Basically figuring out where human thought is designed to thrive and, well, where it's mechanically engineered to fail.
Yes.
So let's just walk right up to that do not enter sign. The text introduces us to this concept called Keter,
Okay, cuter, right.
and it describes Keter as the first foundation of the Sephiro. For those listening who might be familiar with the terminology, the Sephiro are basically the fundamental levels or structures of reality, and the text lays down a remarkably hard rule right out of the gate here. It states that regarding Keter, it is expressly forbidden to ask why the entire structure of reality exists the way it does.
Yeah, the text is incredibly explicit about this. It defines this first foundation, Keter, as the ultimate law.
The ultimate law.
Right, the law that ordains the precise levels of reality and their arrangements in exactly the way they are right now. It calls it the totality of everything.
Okay, but there's a catch, right?
A huge catch. Its existence depends solely on the supreme will, which the text refers to as Ein Sof, or the all-powerful. And because Keter depends entirely on that infinite supreme will, asking for a reason why it exists this way is just completely off limits.
And the text actually backs this up with a really potent quote from the sages in the Talmud.
Chagiga 13a.
Yes, Chagiga 13a, which says, let me quote it, "Do not search out that which is too wondrous for you, that which is covered from you."
Right.
But I mean, I have to push back on this premise just again.
Go for it.
As curious creatures, telling us not to investigate something is essentially the most effective way to guarantee we try to look at it.
Oh, human nature, absolutely.
Right. So why is this specific supreme will completely beyond the grasp of thought? Is this just some strict, arbitrary rule, like a cosmic parent just saying, because I said so?
No, it's not that at all.
Oh.
Or is there a mechanical reason why we can't go there?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's look at the actual mechanics of human cognition, because the text addresses this by pointing to a fundamental limitation in us.
Okay.
It's not an arbitrary rule, it is a mechanical impossibility.
Wait, really? A mechanical impossibility?
It's yes. The text explains that it's impossible to understand the root of this axiom because it's rooted in the all-powerful, in the intrinsic perfection of the supreme will.
Okay.
You cannot occupy yourself with Ein Sof from his side because thought itself simply cannot grasp the root of basic existence.
Meaning the human brain is just like the wrong tool for the job.
Exactly. Think about how human thought operates, right? To understand anything, the brain requires contrast. It requires boundaries, categories, a subject, an object.
Right, up and down, light and dark.
Exactly. But the supreme will, the infinite Ein Sof, has no boundaries and no contrast. It is absolute unity.
Oh, wow.
So if you try to point the instrument of human thought at an infinite, boundaryless reality, the thought process doesn't just fail, it physically cannot attach to anything, it just bounces off.
That makes a lot of sense. You're basically barred from interrogating the initial parameters of existence because you're interrogating mind as a product of those very parameters.
That is a great way to put it.
It's like you can't use a ruler to measure the concept of length itself.
That captures the dilemma perfectly. The mind cannot step outside of reality to interrogate the reason for reality's basic existence.
So the very root of reality is a permanently locked door.
Yes.
But, I mean, if that door is sealed shut, are we supposed to just sit in the hallway in total ignorance? Like, if I can't ask the biggest why of all, do I just shut down my curiosity entirely?
Well, no, and that's the brilliance of this text. It shows how rapidly we can pivot away from that locked door.
Okay.
The moment it establishes the closed door of Keter, it swings open a massive, expansive set of double doors right next to it.
And what's behind those?
It leads us completely out of the forbidden zone and into a space where inquiry isn't just allowed, it's actually demanded.
Oh, okay. So that brings us to the next foundation, which is Chochma, or wisdom.
Exactly.
This is where the universe hangs that giant, flashing, please explore sign.
It really is.
Because the text states that from Chochma onwards, it is not merely permitted to investigate. It's a positive mitzvah. It's a duty and a commandment to seek understanding.
The transition there from do not search out to you are commanded to investigate is just profound.
It's quite a pivot.
Yeah. The text defines Chochma as the thought that divides things into their particulars.
Right.
It takes that raw, inaccessible axiom established by Keter, and it begins to specify all the intricate details required for the actual government of the worlds.
And there's a beautiful anchor for this idea in a quote from Psalms 104.24 that's included in the text. He says, "You made them all with wisdom," meaning Chochma.
Yes, exactly.
Let's build a metaphor here to make this tangible for everyone listening.
I love a good metaphor.
Okay, think about an architect. Keter is that sheer, unexplainable, sudden desire the architect has to build a magnificent house.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really explain why that raw desire sparked into existence, right?
Yeah.
You can't measure the architect's pure intent. It just is.
Right. It's just the fact of existence.
But Chochma is the detailed blueprint. It's the schematic laying out the precise dimensions of the rooms, the placement of the load-bearing walls, the routing of the electrical wiring.
Yes, and let's actually take that architect analogy a step further, because the text makes a really crucial distinction between the desire and the blueprint.
Oh, so.
Well, Keter reveals only the fact of their basic existence. It's just the raw reality that the building will exist. But Chochma calculates everything required for the government of the worlds. It's the complex math that ensures the building won't collapse.
So we're transitioning from the unexplainable fact of existence to the highly structured operation of reality.
Precisely.
But wait, I'm looking closely at the source material here, and I spot a massive potential loophole.
Oh, let's hear it.
So the text explicitly states, what exists in Chochma also exists in Keter.
Yes, it does say that.
It says Keter already includes everything involved in the government of the worlds. It's just not expressed in the sense of how they actually operate yet.
Correct.
So if Keter already holds all these details, aren't we just secretly investigating the forbidden Keter by proxy when we study Chochma? Like, are we just finding a clever intellectual loophole to sneak a peek at the restricted section of the library?
That is a really sharp observation. And honestly, it's a trap that is very easy to fall into.
It feels like a cheat code.
It does. But the text draws a very hard line to prevent exactly that kind of conflation.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, we are not investigating Keter by proxy. What we're doing is fundamentally shifting the type of question we are asking.
Okay, explain that.
We're moving our intellectual focus from why does this exist at all to how does this system operate?
Oh, I see. So the why remains forbidden, but the how becomes mandatory.
Exactly. The text states that the mind or mashava calculates the totality of everything bound together, focusing specifically on how reality is governed.
Got it.
You aren't peeking at the unexplainable origin of the ink on the blueprint, right? You are analyzing the highly detailed execution of the lines drawn.
Right.
You're studying the system of governance, which falls entirely within the permitted, encouraged zone of human thought.
Man, that reframing is incredibly liberating for anyone who just loves to tear systems apart to see how they work.
It really is.
This text is validating that drive. It's saying your desire to reverse engineer the mechanics of reality is exactly what you were designed to do.
Exactly.
But I mean, a blueprint sitting on a desk doesn't build a house.
No, it doesn't.
Someone actually has to swing the hammer.
Right.
So if Chochma is just the calculation, what actually translates that schematic into physical reality?
Well, The text points us directly to the next phase of this cosmic architecture, which is Baina, or understanding.
Baina.
Yes, it defines Baina as the actual revelation of Chochma.
Okay, so to keep the construction site alive in our minds,
Yes, let's keep going with that.
if Chochma is the meticulously drawn blueprint, Baina is the formidable project manager out on the dirt lot.
I love that. Yes.
Because the text notes that while Chochma calculates the totality of everything bound together, Baina is the force that brings each element forth individually into actuality.
Yes, Baina ensures that every single element accomplishes exactly what it must do in its proper place. And a key phrase the text uses to describe this process is, without being bound to another.
Without being bound to another.
Right. Baina separates the concepts out from the unified blueprint so they can actually function in the real world.
Okay, and the text introduces 7 distinct categories of execution here to explain how this works in the lower Sephiroth, right?
Yes, it splits them into 2 groups.
Right. There is a group of 6 active attributes. The text calls this Zir, the small face.
Yes, think of them as the dynamic forces like kindness, discipline, and endurance.
And then there's a 7th receptive attribute that finalizes the action called Nukva, or the female.
Exactly.
So to map this back to our project manager, these 7 categories are like the specialized tradesmen on our construction site.
Perfect analogy.
You have the plumbers, the electricians, the drywallers, and the roofers. They're the distinct varieties of government actually building the walls.
That perfectly conceptualizes the lower Sephira.
Yeah.
They're the distinct types of functional government that were originally rooted together in the grand blueprint of Chochma, but have now been brought forth by Baina to operate separately and efficiently in reality.
I mean, I see the logic, but I have to challenge this sudden, intense emphasis on separation.
Okay, why is that?
Well, the text specifically says Baina brings things forth without being bound to one another and insists that things must be kept in their proper place.
Right.
But doesn't our entire modern understanding of systems like ecology, quantum physics, global economics, doesn't it all rely on everything being deeply inherently connected?
That's a really fair point.
Why does a text about the fundamental structure of the universe suddenly prioritize isolation over interconnectedness?
Well, if we pull back and look at the whole system, the emphasis on separation actually makes perfect structural sense.
How so?
Because the profound unity and connection they exist in the blueprint.
Ah.
In Chochma, everything is calculated together toward an ultimate unified goal, but actual tangible execution in the real world demands distinct boundaries.
Meaning, if everything is just one big unified mush, no actual work gets done.
Exactly. Think about your physical body.
Okay.
From a holistic perspective, your body is a unified, deeply connected system working toward the goal of keeping you alive.
Right.
That is the Chochma perspective. But for you to actually digest a meal, or pump blood to your extremities, or breathe air, your stomach, your heart, and your lungs must be entirely separate, distinct organs.
Oh, well.
They must do their own highly specific jobs in their own proper places. That is Baina. Things must be separated by boundaries to function effectively.
But isn't there a risk here? Like, if we isolate the heart and put it on a table, it dies.
Right.
If we focus entirely on the separation, don't we lose the forest for the trees?
But notice that the text explicitly states these distinct elements are brought forth to accomplish what they must in their proper place.
In their proper place.
Separation in this context does not mean isolation or disconnection. It means distinct function within a whole.
Got it.
The heart remains in the chest. The lungs remain in the rib cage. They're functionally separate, but operationally aligned.
That makes total sense.
The boundaries are what actually enable the system to exist.
So the unity is the overarching plan, but the specialized separation is the mechanism of execution.
Yes.
Which brings us to the grand finale of this excerpt, the ultimate rule of inquiry.
This is such a great section.
This is where the text clarifies exactly what we are doing when we study these systems, and maybe more importantly, what we are not doing.
The text is very careful to offer a really rigorous final clarification here. It strictly notes that in all of our allowed investigations, in all our deep study of Chochma and the project management of Baina and the specialized tradesmen of the lower Sephiroth, we are emphatically not investigating the essence of the emanator.
The creator's intrinsic, fundamental essence remains totally off the table.
Absolutely. And it goes even further than that.
Really?
The text reveals that we aren't even investigating the essence of the Sephiroth themselves.
Wait, even the lower levels, even the tradesmen swinging the hammers.
Even them.
Yeah.
Because their essence is in simple unity with the Emanator. They are nothing but the powers of his thought.
Wow.
Therefore, their true essence is just as infinite and ungraspable as the Emanator's essence.
So if we can't grasp that, what are we actually studying when we look at the universe?
The text says we are concerned only with the functioning of his powers and the specific way they govern.
Okay, let's upgrade our metaphors here, because I think this is a crucial distinction.
Right.
It's like trying to understand a Beethoven symphony, right?
Oh, I like this.
If you try to isolate the essence of why the music moves you to tears by zooming in on the microscopic physical vibrations of the cello string,
Right.
or like the chemical composition of the wood, you lose the music entirely.
You completely miss the point.
Exactly. You are forbidden from finding the soul in the raw physics. You are commanded instead to listen to the execution of the notes. You study the function of the harmony, the timing, the rhythm.
Yes, the function is what is actually given to us to interact with.
But doesn't that strip away the deeper spiritual resonance we're supposedly trying to connect with?
How do you mean?
Well, for someone listening who wants a profound, meaningful connection to reality, being told, you can only look at the mechanics, you can only listen to the notes, might feel a bit cold.
Sure.
If I can't know the composer's soul, just the sheet music, isn't that inherently soulless?
It's a really natural concern, but the text actually flips that perspective entirely.
How so?
The essence is infinite, right? It is so vast and unified that the human mind simply cannot hold it.
Right.
If you try to grasp the raw emotion without the notes, you just get silence. You end up grasping nothing, because the infinite literally breaks the parameters of thought.
Wow.
But by studying the mechanics, the functions, the specific harmony of how the worlds are governed, you are engaging with the only language your mind can process.
So the mechanics aren't a distraction from the spiritual essence.
Yeah.
They are the only possible vehicle for experiencing it.
Exactly.
The sheet music is how you experience the composer's soul.
Yes. And the text closes by powerfully reiterating that quote from Shagya 13a, "In what is permitted to you, seek understanding." The function is our gateway to appreciating the power.
That's beautiful.
You appreciate the unmatched genius of a master watchmaker, not by trying to magically absorb his essence or interrogate his existence, right?
Right.
But by closely studying the intricate, perfectly functioning gears of the watch he built.
That is just phenomenal. So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Let's bring it back to the listener, yeah.
We started this deep dive talking about the exhaustion of information overload. We talked about that modern crushing pressure to know the ultimate why behind absolutely everything in the universe.
It's exhausting.
But what Qlach, Pitchei, Chochma offers is a framework that is incredibly validating, yet deeply relieving for anyone who loves to learn.
It maps out a universe that completely respects our cognitive limits while endlessly feeding our curiosity.
You live in a universe where the fundamental why of basic existence, that first foundation, Keter, is a locked door. It is a mystery you must humbly accept, not because you aren't smart enough, but because your brain literally isn't built to process a reality without boundaries.
Right.
But the how of reality's operation, the brilliant blueprint of Chochma, the meticulous project management of Baina, the intricate, specialized governance of the world, that is a magnificent, infinite puzzle that you are literally commanded to solve.
This text cures the anxiety of information overload by reminding us that some ultimate truths simply aren't meant to be reverse engineered.
Right.
We don't have to carry the impossible weight of understanding the ununderstandable.
It frees you up to joyfully investigate the systems, the functions, and the beautiful mechanics of reality without ever feeling like you're missing the point.
Absolutely.
When you're deep in that Wikipedia rabbit hole learning how a cellular membrane works or how a star collapses, you are exactly where you are supposed to be.
Well said. And to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Please do.
We've established that our human minds are brilliantly designed to investigate the functions of reality, yet we are strictly and mechanically barred from comprehending its ultimate essence.
Right.
If thought can only ever grasp the mechanics, does that mean the truest, deepest nature of reality is something that can never actually be thought, but only experienced?
Wow. Now, there is something to experience long after you take your headphones off.
Truly.
That is our deep dive into the cosmic boundaries of human inquiry. Keep exploring the functions, respect the locked doors, and we will catch you next time.